Easily one of my favourite uses for custom television channel creation is a Halloween orientated one for October. This is a great excuse to have a non-stop stream of scary movies, shows, and lots of other content wrapped around it, like commercials and music videos. It's so much fun to leave it on in the background and see what comes up next. I love to see what ads play between movies in particular, so I spend a lot of time curating content just for this element, and I'll guide you through how I have mine set up. If you've not looked at pseudo TV channel software before, I'll take you through setting everything up so you'll be up and running in no time. Check out my series on building a music television channel using Ersatz TV2, that one's definitely a lot of fun. Essentially, you link it to all your content, and it will then generate a stream you can watch that has scheduled shows and movies just like a real TV station. As you're in complete control, no more shows and ads that you particularly dislike, unless you want that of course. Today we'll be using the software package Tunarr. Originally I was going to use Disk TV for this, as that's what I've been running for about a year or two, but Tunarr has become an active fork that's more usable on my platform, while Disk TV feels like it's come to an end. They both operate in a similar way though, so feel free to follow this guide and apply it to Disk TV if you want. I'll do a video down the line comparing a few different software options, but I personally run a few side by side so I don't feel like you have to be locked into just the one. So let's get started. You'll need to install Tunarr yourself, as this will vary from operating system to operating system, and whether you use Docker or not. If you follow their provided guides, you should be fine, and if you've already got FFmpeg set up, that'll make things a breeze. This will also guide you to link up to your Plex server, and once I've pressed this, I tend to walk away for a bit, as it silently does a lot of things behind the scenes to bring the content in, and that takes a while. First, we should organise our movies, TV shows and filler content. There's a few different ways to do this, but I think collections are the easiest way to do things. If you're thinking of making a Halloween channel, I'm going to assume that you have a big library full of content already, and in the description for those who use Cometa, I'll link my track list that I override their inbuilt Halloween one with. So I have one large movie collection, and at some point, Plex allows you to make it a collection of individual TV episodes too, which is fantastic. I have mine set to display in the order of air too, so if I want to just see what TV looked like over Halloween in 1996, I can just scroll to that particular part. With everything locked like this, it's so easy to add it to our software in just one click. There's a great Wikipedia page that has hundreds of episodes listed for you to match your content with, and I'll link that in the description too. One thing you will probably need to think about though is the filler. Between each show or movie, my channel will play some clips just to keep things entertaining, and I've separated these into the following categories. Channel bumpers. These are clips that TV stations run to advertise their own movies and shows, and I have lots of these, from classics that aired while we were kids to brand new ones from this year. Commercials. Halloween is a great time of year for some product ads. They're usually more fun than regular advertising too, so people have uploaded lots online and it's easy to find these and add to your collection. Music videos. Again, it's fairly easy to find lists of music videos that are particularly spooky from a variety of genres, and these eat up a fair amount of time in between movies as they tend to run for a few minutes. Movie clips. Here I have the Bravo TV show 100 Scariest Movie Moments sliced up into individual clips, as well as famous scare scenes from a ton of movies from over the years. Movie trailers. There's a bunch of DVDs and Blu-rays that compile trailers, a perfect source for classics, including lots I'd never heard of. Shorts and sketches. There's a ton of short movies that last just a few minutes and are perfect for this, and I've also added all the Halloween sketches from SNL too. In total, I've around 1,000 pieces of media that I've collated and organised, so while you'll see some stuff repeated, it shouldn't be so frequent that you get bored of them. Do some googling and you can find some great resources to fill these out, and if you check part 2 of my MTV video, there's some tips on collecting these that you might find useful. As the system uses Plex for everything, I have a library just for these extras that I don't put on my home screen and it doesn't appear in searches. This is why I keep all the Flex, as it's called, and other content specifically for use in these kinds of channels. It's set to other videos so it won't attempt to scan and match it to a movie or TV show, and I display everything in folders to make it easier to browse. Then we'll add everything into a collection for easy import into Tunarr itself. The easiest way to do this is to start at the top, then slowly scroll to the end of the folder. Going too fast and I find it messes up on my system. Once everything is selected, go to Edit, add a tag that describes the kind of content, and hit OK. Repeat this for all the other filler and we should be ready to go. Now it's time to build our channel, so let's open up Tunarr, go to the channels and hit new. The first pane is pretty straightforward, and this is primarily for if it's being fed back into Plex or some kind of IPTV software so it can be identified. If you're just using a single generated stream, it doesn't really matter what goes here. For now, I'll call this one Spooky Season and keep it on channel 1 and in the default group called Tunarr. I'll add my pumpkin image I found online as my channel logo, and then that's it. We'll come back to Flex, which is the between movie videos, once we've had a few more things set up, so we can leave this blank for now. EPG and transcoding I don't really mess around with, except to add a watermark. I have a variation of my pumpkin to use for this, and it just takes a bit of trial and error to get it looking exactly how you want with regards to size, placement and opacity. I like to keep the logo up the entire time personally, but you can change its frequency and how long it displays with these two boxes. And that's it, the channel was built. It's looking a bit empty right now, so let's do something about that. Up on the top bar, let's hit Add Media. This is how we bring our shows and movies into the system, so we'll start with our movies. Pick the server and library you want to work with, and then go to Collections. You can see the collection I built in Plex appears here, so I'm going to hit Add Collection on the right hand side. You might want to bring in some individual movies too, which is easily done by pressing the Add Movie button. Once you've selected everything you want to bring in, just go to this little tab on the right and tell it to start the import. And now we can see we have a schedule. All our movies and shows are listed, and you can see the start times next to each one. If you loaded up the stream now, it would reflect what we see in front of us. Awesome. That's actually a good chunk of the hard stuff done. Now it's a case of organising things so it's a bit more natural, as currently all the movies are playing one after another in alphabetical order, which isn't particularly interesting. Now, because my personal collection was built with Cometa, it includes every edition in Plex, which isn't always ideal, so quickly skimming the list, I can see these easily enough and remove them. If you don't have multiple versions of films, this isn't something you'll likely need to worry about. First, let's randomise everything to give a good jumbling. Now we have movies interspersed with TV episodes, which is exactly how I like to have things. Now to pad everything out, so things start at realistic times, and put our commercials and other clips in between everything. We do this through padding, and my preference is to have things start on the hour, then 15, 30 and 45 minutes past. Awesome, we can now see that's in place, and it'll tell us the length of time between each show and the designated start times. These flex spots don't appear in the EPG, which is great. It'll look like one movie ends and another begins. Now we have to get these flex spots filled with our content, so we have to tell Tunarr where all this is kept. Because you might want to use the same flex for different channels, this is done outside of this particular channel editor to begin with, so let's add it after saving. In the filler lists, we can add each collection we've built up. I personally name things so I can easily spot what channel it's designed for, then add the collection in individually, rather than bringing in as one giant collection, because ideally I want to weigh things differently so I get more commercials and fewer short films. So I repeat the process for each collection. It works in essentially the same way as adding our regular content. Now this is all imported, we can go back to the channel and tell it to utilise this. In the edit screen and the flex pane we skipped through earlier, I add all the lists in and then adjust the cooldown and sliders to match my preferences. You might want to leave these as default and watch the channel for a bit to get a feel of things, and I realise that I don't want back-to-back short films, whereas I don't mind back-to-back commercials, and setting the cooldown next to each filler type will help prevent this. The sliders control how frequently the content is shown too, so raising one will pull the other down, and that'll give you the ratio you need. It's worth noting that if you add to your collections, Tunarr won't see the new entries, and you'll have to clear things out and start again. So personally, I make an effort to do this once a year, just before the season starts, and this really only takes a few minutes. You just delete everything, and follow the import steps once again. We're actually done. Please post in the comments about what you do with your Halloween channels. I'm sure there's some great filler out there that I haven't thought about, and I'd love to hear what you do. In future videos we'll be covering the various ways to watch these channels, including a way to bring into Plex from multiple sources through some great free software. But how you watch the stream is down to you. The software provides M3U and XML TV links that will import into most IPTV software, and we can test that the M3U is working right now. I can't get the in-browser stream to work on this system, but that's another option to use to watch, or going to Plex and adding it as an HD home run tuner will also bring it up. I'm going to keep playing with Tunarr and follow its development for sure. I have some other channels I'll be bringing over, and I'll make sure to keep everyone updated on the features I find useful, and hopefully there'll be something neat to share when we're ready to make a Christmas themed channel. Until then, have fun playing Network Scheduler and playing the most outrageous horror films you can think of at 9 o'clock in the morning.